Hello everybody, welcome! This is Theatre of Science. It's Reproduction Lesson 2. You don't need to have seen Reproduction Lesson 1, although it is on my YouTube channel. Last week we did sex cells. We looked at the sperm and the egg and how when they fuse together, that is the beginning of a whole new person. So this week we are looking at the reproductive system. So I used to teach this lesson to like 32 11-year-olds. Obviously in the Science Alliance, you and me, we look after each other, we support each other, we would never laugh at each other. So I feel bad for telling you this, but this was one of my favourite lessons to teach at school because the start of it was just funny. Like I'll tell you what I used to ask my 11-year-olds and you can answer, okay? Adults, not you if you're in the room, just, okay, children, I want you to get your brain exercise. I used to say to them all, where in the human body do babies grow? Okay, so you're probably just on your own with a few people that you feel comfortable with. Just say it out loud, okay? Where in the human body do babies grow? Do new people grow? So all the kids, I mean, it's great. They really wanted to please. They'd be like, oh, the tummy. And I'd say, can you use like a better scientific word? And then fewer people would put their hands up, but someone would always go, oh, stomach. And I'd say, but like, isn't your stomach where the food goes? Where it gets like broken down into loads of tiny little pieces? Like, isn't your stomach full of acid? Do you think that a baby could survive those conditions? And the whole room would just go, ah. So that's what we're talking about today. We're talking about how humans are made by the reproductive system. So you've probably heard of the circulatory system, okay? Your heart with all your blood vessels, that gets blood around your body. There's your nervous system, that's your brain with neurons and things, nerves that stretch all the way through your body so that you feel things. The reproductive system is a bit different because there's two of them. You get two choices, or you just get sort of given one when you're starting to form. So there's two different bodies that we have to look at, male and female. I'm just going to give you the sheet. I'm going to do that annoying thing where I don't teach you anything and I just show you a sheet and I expect you to piece some things together yourself. So here we are. This is a picture of what we call the male reproductive system and the female reproductive system, okay, just bits of the human body. And if you are going to do biology for GCSE, these are nearly, apart from like one, all the words that you would need to learn for biology GCSE. So this lesson, we're basically just learning what all these bits are and then learning what they do. So I want you to try, I've numbered some different bits of the systems. I want you to try and match the number to what bit you think it is. So you've got the words uterus, oviduct, ovaries, tummy, testis, sperm duct, prostate gland, cervix, urethra, stomach, penis and vagina. So first of all, two of those have nothing to do with reproduction. If you were listening at the beginning, hopefully you can just cross out two of those words. No, they are not required to make new humans. Yeah, and the other bits, can you match up, please? I have given you some clues. So your clues are, there are two ovaries and two testis. So if you can see like two matching pairs, one of them's going to be the ovary, one's the testis. The testis make the sperm, which is the male sex cell we learned last week, and the ovary holds the egg, which is the female sex cell. So if you see matching pairs, you might get it. Urethra means passage for urine in Greek. An aqueduct is a large pipe or canal. So if you see the word duct anywhere, it might have something to do with like a pipe. Ovum, I don't think we used this word in the first lesson, but ovum is the proper word for the egg. So the female sex cell, its proper word is ovum. So if you see anything that looks a bit like ovum, that's a clue. And if you get through all that, if that's just too easy, then I've got you an extra task at the bottom here. Liquid is added to the sperm. So last week we looked at how these sperm, like the little tadpoles, the little cell that the male reproductive system makes that needs to get together with the egg cell to form a new person, this sperm actually gets liquid added to it that helps it to swim before it reaches the penis. Which labelled part do you think makes the liquid? So in the male reproductive system, which part might make this liquid? And why do you think each testis might be outside the body? Why is the female reproductive system all inside the body, but some of the male bits are hanging out? What's with that? Just one of the many questions we will be discussing today. Right, that was a lot of talking. You've probably done that already, but I'll give you another minute. Oh, I'll pull up my Facebook page, because if any of you would like to make any comments, then you can go on my Facebook page and just the first post, put some comments or questions on there if you like, and I'll read them out at the end. There we go. Use this post to add comments and questions. There we go. Right, are you ready? Should we go through that? So we'll just go through the answers so that you can sort of tick it off so you've got a record. If you haven't got this sheet, if you didn't get it from my Facebook group, then you can just write it down or just listen if you like. And then we'll go through the interesting bit, which is what they all do. Okay, so well, I think most of you would know what the penis was. So the male reproductive system involves the penis, this long bit hanging down here. So I can write a 5, I think, next to penis straight away. Alright, so there's two kind of pairs, aren't there? Right, so if you knew that the testis makes sperm and it's the male reproductive system that makes the sperm, we've got some testes here. There's only one matching pair, isn't it? It's these bits. So yes, number 1 is a testis. 2 testes, 1 testis. There we go, so number 1 is a testis. We used to say testicle, but I can't find any reference to it in the GCSE, so I'm going to start getting used to saying testis and testes, but they are testicles. And then if you knew that there was a pair on the female reproductive system, so we've got 2 ovaries. Well, I suppose this tube could have been the ovaries, but it's this sort of little fluffy cloud-like thing here, which is the ovary. So that's 7 are the ovaries. There we go. What other clues did we have? Well, urethra means passage for urine in Greek. Urine, wee. We've got a bladder here. Bladders store wee. So you can see there's a bladder, and then running from the bladder, probably not that clear, but there is a tube that goes from the bladder all the way down and out of the penis, which is labelled 4. So the urethra, I'm really starting to love this word. Urethra, probably the most sort of strange sounding word we'll go through today. The urethra is number 4, the passage for urine, number 4. An aqueduct is a large pipe or canal. So what ducts have we got? We've got an oviduct. An ovum means egg, so like ovary. Oviduct might mean like egg canal. So this pipe here on the female system, number 8, that's the oviduct. Ovum is a proper word for egg. Right, what else can we do? Oh, well, did you cross out tummy? Let's do that in red. Stomach, obviously. If you didn't have a stomach, then it would be hard to do anything, but the stomach and the tummy are not involved in the reproductive system. We've got the word duct again, right, so that's a sperm tube, isn't it? So that you might know that the sperm is made in the testicles, we'll talk about that later, the testis. But this tube here, number 2, that's the sperm duct, the sperm tube, if you like. And the other bits, well, you might know that uterus is another word for womb, and that is where the small human grows. So this big bit 9, that's the uterus. It's not always that big, actually. When there's a new person growing in it, obviously it gets bigger. So 9 is the uterus, 10 is the cervix, that you might have struggled a bit with those. And 11 is the vagina. 11 is we'll do the menstrual cycle in a few lessons time, but if people use tampons, then the vagina is where the tampon goes, which is why you might have heard of vagina. And the prostate gland, we'll talk about what that does in a sec. It's this little kind of half a peach type thing here. Number 3 on the male reproductive system is the prostate gland. It's actually the prostate gland that makes the liquid that I was talking about that help the sperm to swim. This nutritious liquid that kind of sort of put into the sperm as they're going past, and then the sperm plus the liquid comes out of the penis. We'll talk about all this later. And why do you think the testis might... Yeah, we'll do that in a bit. Right, I'm going to flip you around and talk about the more interesting bit. What jobs do they do? Why are they there? Hello. Right. So what we'll do is we'll go through the bits of the male reproductive system in more detail, and then we'll do a butterfly painting of it because it's symmetrical. I just thought that would be a nice idea. So here is the male reproductive system. Let's talk about what happens then. So little sperm, little tadpoles, the cell that the male reproductive system makes are made in the testes. Let's label them both at the same time. So both together, you say testes with an E. And then, but you would just say one testis. Like that. There we go. Now, that looks backwards to me, but I've been told by everyone else that the screen automatically flips in YouTube. So I'm just going to leave it like that, with apologies if that's backwards. So the sperm gets made in the testis, and then it travels. There's only one way it can go. Look, it travels down the sperm tube, yeah? The sperm duct. It's nice and easy, isn't it? So aqueduct carries water, the sperm duct carries sperm. So these little tadpoles, they come out of the testes, go through the sperm duct, the sperm canal. We'll kind of ignore the bladder. They sort of come down here and they go past the prostate gland. I've got enough room to do my labelling. Here we go. This really does look uncannily like half a peach. Prostate gland. There we go. So the prostate gland makes this nutritious liquid. We looked at last week how the sperm don't really have any stored nutrients in them. They're very streamlined. Their only job really is to just swim very fast to try and get to the egg. So the prostate gland adds some nutritious liquid to make it easier for them to swim and to provide nutrients. Strictly speaking, once the liquid has been added to the sperm, the whole lot is called semen. So sperm travels down the sperm duct, but after the liquid gets added, then the fluid that comes out of the penis is sperm and fluid mixed together, so you could say semen, but you can still say sperm, wouldn't be wrong. Right, so sperm made in the testis, travels down the sperm duct, prostate gland makes this liquid, and then it travels through the urethra. I don't know, we just got into, when I did this lesson live on Facebook yesterday, just got into a lot of urethra. I've got it. Urethra. Wow, that's not right. We need a T and an H in there. Urethra. Or someone thought it sounded like a kind of charge into battle. I don't know. Wow, that's so wrong. I've put the T and the H in the wrong place. Just stop talking, Lara. Just write it. Urethra. 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 That's the right spelling. And then the penis, which is the job of the penis really is to deliver the sperm into the vagina, which we'll talk about and see in a bit. Yeah, right, I think that's it. Again, that's the bladder, but obviously not really part of the reproductive system. But it's, yeah, the wee and the semen, the fluid mixed with the sperm, all come out of the penis. Bit different with the female reproductive system, as we'll see in a minute. So why are the testes, why is each testis and the penis hanging outside the body? The female body doesn't do that. Female body, they're all tucked away. The reason is sperm don't like being too warm. Sperm don't swim very well at body temperature. So human body has evolved for the penis and the testes to be hanging outside to keep them cool. I know, right? Evolution. Yeah, I think that's it. I think yes, let's do a butterfly painting. Did you bring some painting stuff with you? An A4 piece of paper. Open my printer. So get an A4 piece of paper. They're just delightfully symmetrical, these, aren't they? So get a white piece of A4 paper if you got one and fold it in half. I'll try and leave this here because it might be a useful guide. If you've got a few different colours, good on you. But you can do it with one. Get my paintbrush. So I think the first thing we're going to do, I've done this lesson live twice on my Facebook channel now. So I've got my colour scheme. I'm going yellow for the urethra, right? Because I didn't want to go green, obviously. That would be gross. But we can be yellow, can't it? If, you know, you're not well. So I'm just going to do a line like down the kind of central third of my fold on my bit of paper, all right? Don't forget, it's a butterfly painting, so we only draw on one side. So that's my urethra. And then the urethra sort of goes into the sperm duct, doesn't it? So I'll just kind of, I've drawn like an elephant's trunk in the middle of my page. I'm just going to draw a big sort of eyebrow around the side, and that can be the sperm duct as well. There we go. Yes. And then I'm going to wash my brush, and I'm going to change colours and do a testis in a different colour. So the testis is where the sperm is made. In the female reproductive system, you've got to be a bit careful. The female reproductive system doesn't make the eggs, but the testis does make the sperm. Here we are. So I've got a kind of elephant's trunk with a massive eyebrow and a little sort of earring hanging from the side. Yeah, I think that's the only bit I'll do in purple. What else do we need? So the testis makes the sperm comes out, travels along the sperm duct. So we need a prostate gland here to put the nutritious fluid into the sperm, or to produce the fluid that does eventually get put into the sperm, so that semen, the liquid and the sperm, can travel down the urethra here. So let's do a prostate gland. I'm doing that in blue. Now, you lot on Facebook, people have been sending me absolutely exquisite butterfly pictures that they've done, which were better than mine. So I'm gonna try and work a bit harder this time, because my prostate gland ended up looking like I had two, and it's not split in half, it's just one. So I think I'm going to do a tiny little bit of prostate gland at the top of the eyebrow and some underneath, to try and show that that's just like one ball, one half peach. There we go. Oh dear, I've got a drip. How very unfortunate. Excuse me. So testis makes the sperm travels through the sperm duct, yeah, like the sperm pipe. Prostate gland makes the nutritious liquid that gets added, and it all comes out of the urethra. Are we missing something? Oh yeah! So I said at the beginning that there was one word that wasn't on that sheet, but that you do need to know. It sounds like a rude word, but it is actually a biology word. It is the scrotum. What is the scrotum? I'm getting a new colour. I'm going to use orange. The scrotum is the skin that goes around the testes to protect them, right? So I'm just going to do, I've got like a ball of purple, which is my testis. I'm going to do a little kind of cup, a little orangey cup around the testis, which is the scrotum, just the protective skin. There we go. And sticking with orange, because it's turned into my sort of skin colour, I'm going to do a penis as well around my urethra. Put a little gap at the bottom, obviously, because there is a hole at the bottom of the penis where the urine and the semen comes out. Right, I think that's it. Sperm made in the testis, travels down the sperm duct, prostate gland, makes nutritious fluid, all comes out the urethra. Also where the urine comes out, presumably not at the same time. I'm not clear on those details. Scrotum, protective bit of skin surrounding the testis, and penis. Yeah, that's it. Right, let's get folding, people. Dry my hands. Okay, come on. I want this to be my best work. I've done this 3 times now. So yeah, butterfly painting, yeah? Give it a swish, give it a flatten. Here we are. Oh, my arm. Oh, I'm just going to have one very muscly arm by the time I've finished all these lessons. Okay, and open it. Oh, yes. Oh, fabulous. Oh, yeah, that's a much better prostate gland than I've done 2 times before. That is clearly one thing. Yes, lovely. Oh, like I said before, it just sort of looks like a happy penguin. That's nice. Okay, so we'll leave that to dry, and then we'll label it in a bit. You can go up there. Right, let's get rid of this. And while you're finishing off, I will talk about the female reproductive system. Keep an eye on the time, and then in about 8 minutes we'll talk about a little bit about World War I and do a 2-minute silence. Okay, so here's the female reproductive system. So probably the first bit to talk about, because it kind of links in nicely, is the vagina down here. So the new person grows inside the female reproductive system. So the sperm needs to get into the female reproductive system to join the egg. So the penis delivers the sperm, if people are having sex, to the vagina. So that bit's the vagina at the bottom there, so sort of where the sperm arrives. And then the sperm, next lesson is the sperm's journey. It goes through an awful lot. We're going to make it sound simple, but let's start over here actually, because this is where the eggs are stored. You've got to be careful here. This little cloud we've already mentioned is the ovary. And People with female bodies, when they're born, they have all the eggs that they are ever going to have. So people with male bodies, they make sperm throughout their lives, whereas the female reproductive system has a certain amount of eggs which are stored in the ovary, and then they all develop at like different times and are released like 1 or 2 or 3 at a time, sometimes generally 1 at a time out of the ovary. So I'll put, especially important for GCSEs if you ever get asked, it's where the eggs are stored. Don't say it's where the eggs are made. No, like new eggs are made during the life of a female. So the ovary is where the eggs are stored, and then an egg develops and pops into the really delightfully named oviduct. All right, aqueduct carries water. Oviduct carries the ovum, the egg. So this is the oviduct. Also called the fallopian tube, which I've got a story about I might tell you in a bit, but not yet. Fallopian tube isn't wrong, but we're going to, if you're all learning all this for the first time, then we're going to stick with oviduct today. So yeah, it's weird because the new human grows in the uterus. So you might think that the sperm travels from the vagina up to the uterus and the egg travels from the ovary to the uterus and they meet in the uterus and that's where the new person grows. But that is not the case. The sperm's got to... Oh, sorry, you're getting a flash of my Beano book that you're sitting on. The sperm's got to travel further. It's got to go past the uterus all the way through to the oviduct. And the oviduct is where the sperm and the egg meet and fuse together and just becomes like a ball of cells dividing and dividing and dividing that eventually becomes a new person. And then that ball of cells has to travel back down the oviduct and land in the uterus. Let's label the uterus as well. This bit here. So that, oh, sorry. I keep, on Facebook Live I have to write backwards. It's very confusing. I can write forwards on YouTube. So that's the oviduct written the correct way. And this one is this big bit here is the uterus. Again, womb, not wrong. But uterus is sort of more correct, more scientific. So yes, last week we looked at how the egg and the sperm meeting is called fertilization. So it's the oviduct, which is where fertilization happens. And then the whole thing comes along and lands in the uterus. We'll look at that in a few lessons' time. And then, oh yeah, so the last one kind of has the most important job really. This sort of bit of muscle here, cervix actually means neck in Latin, because it's kind of like, you know, like the sort of, looks like a bit like the neck of a bottle, isn't it? That's the cervix. So the cervix has got an incredibly important job. One of its main jobs is to stop the small person falling out. There's a new person growing in the uterus. You don't want it to come out before it's ready. So the cervix is a very tightly closed piece of muscle that stops a new person, strictly speaking, say fetus. I don't want to use too many long words. We'll look at that word later. But a fetus is like a baby that hasn't been born yet. So the cervix is tightly closed to stop the new person falling out. And then when it's time to give birth, then the cervix kind of flattens and opens so that the small person can come out. So if you've ever seen like a pregnant person giving birth in a film or something, you might hear the doctor saying, they're 3 centimetres, they're 5 centimetres, they're 10 centimetres. They're talking about the width of the cervix, how much the cervix is what we call dilated. So people in hospitals use the width of the cervix to decide how ready the new human is to come out. So 3 centimetres, you want to get to the hospital if you're planning to give birth in hospital, and 10 centimetres is like, oh, okay, it's happening now. Yes, so that's the cervix. We've covered the vagina. Yeah, I think that's everything. Right, we've got 5 minutes to go. I don't want to like, you know me, I can really get talking for ages about things. I don't really want to start. I'll tell you very briefly about fallopian tubing. And then we'll talk a little bit about World War I. So my friend did work experience at pretty much the same time as me. When I was young, when you were 16, you had to do 2 weeks work experience. You just had to go to some place and watch people doing their jobs for like 2 weeks. You know, you didn't get paid, it was just experience. And my friend got sent to a music shop, and next door there was a hardware shop. And the first day of his work experience, they said to him, oh, can you go next door and get a glass hammer? So he did, and the hardware shop said, we don't sell glass hammers. So he came back. The next day, they said, oh, can you go next door and get us some tartan paint? So we went next door. Sorry, guys, we don't sell any tartan paint. So he went back and said, oh, they didn't have any. Then third day, this is absolutely a true story. I know this person very well. The music shop sent him next door to get some fallopian tubing, at which point there was a new person on the desk, and they said, "I think someone's having you on, love." And he went back to the music shop to find them all in fits of laughter and learned that fallopian tubing is another word for oviduct. So there you go. I tell you this so that you don't get caught out the same way. There's no such thing as a glass hammer, there's no such thing as tartan paint, and you don't get fallopian tubing from plumbing shops. Right. Yes, so today is what we call Armistice Day. So you've probably heard of the First World War. When the First World War started in 1914, the British people and German people were sort of generally quite excited. The idea was that it would be over by Christmas, okay? The war started in about July, and everyone thought the war would be over by Christmas, and there was this kind of big excited idea that you had to join the army soon, you had to join the armed forces soon, because otherwise it'd all be over and you'd have like missed the action. And very, very quickly it was discovered by both sides, people all over Europe, that this wasn't going to be a short war. It was going to be a very long, utterly horrific war for lots of different reasons. One of the reasons is like it was the first proper war where machine guns were used, this kind of thing. So every year on Armistice Day, the armistice was the sort of peace treaty, like the 11th of the 11th marks the day when the First World War ended, or sort of begun to end. So we say that on the 11th hour of the 11th day of the 11th month, okay, which is coming up in like 2 minutes' time, then that is the time when we remember all the people who lost their lives in World War One, and all the people who have lost their lives in wars since World War One. So you might have heard of Remembrance Sunday. So today is Thursday, which is Armistice Day, the 11th of the 11th. But Sunday is the next Sunday, which is Remembrance Sunday. We do 2 minute silence then to remember just kind of, people who've lost their lives in all wars and the power of peace and how we shouldn't take it for granted. But this day, the British Legion campaigned to get a 2 minute silence on this day to sort of commemorate World War One, because it was just, well, they say 40 million people were injured or died. There were 40 million casualties. 20 million people died. 10 million of those were civilians, just, people who weren't in the armed forces, and 10 million of them were in the armed forces. So war obviously does affect everybody. I think it's really important to remember, what I didn't really understand as a child is that obviously we associate Adolf Hitler with World War II. In World War One, it wasn't that anyone was it wasn't that people were more evil than they are now or more foolish than they are now. It just happened, and it's important to remember that it really could happen again. So yeah, in 40 seconds time, we'll have 2 minute silence to remember the many, many people, countless people affected by World War One and in wars since. And yeah, I'm really very kind of pleased that the lesson is on at this time, so that I can share it with you. I'm just going to show you a blank wall so that I don't skew your thoughts too much and you can think about anything you like in this time. I'll tell you when it's over. So it starts in 5 seconds. There we go. Okay, that is the 2 minutes over. God, it's really powerful, isn't it? We're never just silent altogether. It's so wonderful to take some time every year to do that. Right. Should we get on with doing a butterfly picture of the female reproductive system then? Can you remember everything after that pause? Come on, let's go. I'll tell you what, I'll bring it in a bit to give us a little bit of help. Here we go. So get your A4 piece of paper and fold it in half. And open it up. I don't know which mystery person sent me this border rubber, but I'm so delighted. Thank you so much. Okay, so what we do? I guess, yeah, we'll start with the uterus. Yeah, I don't know what colour to use because I used orange for skin. But obviously, this isn't. Oh, it's a tube. I guess let's use yellow then. Yeah, like I used yellow for my urethra on my male system. So I'm going to draw a kind of triangle at the sort of halfway up my paper, which is going to be the uterus. There we go. Yeah, so don't forget I'm only drawing on one side. It's going to be twice as big as this. So kind of triangle for the uterus, and then obviously the uterus is connected to the vagina because the sperm's got to go from the vagina to the uterus. So I'm just going to kind of draw a little line. We'll draw a cervix around that later so small person doesn't fall out. And then I'll sort of make it a little bit bigger at the bottom, and that can be the vagina. So it's kind of like a sort of golf flag with a little ball at the bottom of it. Yeah. I guess staying with yellow, right? Because then we've got the oviduct, the egg tube that's just going to come off the uterus. Just a little bit, just like a smaller eyebrow than we did before. A bit of an arch. And then I'll do a purple ball again. Because I did the testis in purple, which is where the sperm is made. What can you tell me about this purple thing? Can you tell me its name? And can you tell me what it does? This little purple ball that I'm drawing now on the end of the oviduct, what is it? And what does it do? Why is it there? Come on. It's where the eggs are stored, not made. Well done. I could tell you got that right. Okay, so ovary, where the egg is stored, this little purple ball, pops out into the oviduct, yeah, like the egg canal travels along the oviduct. If it meets a sperm, that's where the sperm and the egg hopefully fuse together, start forming a new person. New person, tiny ball of cells, arrives in the uterus and stays there until it's ready. We're talking about humans reproducing. So I need to draw a cervix in, right, fast, so that this tiny person doesn't fall out. So I guess I'll use orange. I mean, it's not skin, the cervix. It's muscle, isn't it? It's like tissue, but it's inside the body, but it's there. Let's do that little blob for the cervix. And then is that it? Doesn't look as colourful, does it? But I think we've got everything. Yeah, I mean, obviously there's no skin surrounding it because it's all inside. Ovary releases egg into oviduct, grows in the uterus, cervix keeps it shut, and then the cervix opens, small person travels through the vagina and out of the body. That's it. Okay, I'm going to close it. Give it a rub. There we go. Move you out of the way. Give it a good rub. Come on, it's my last one. This needs to be the best. Okay. Oh, yes, fabulous. Oh, yes. Oh, wonderful. Yes. Okay, so we better label these. And then, with nearly the end of the lesson, we'll label these as like a recap. And then I want to talk very briefly about how people with females' bodies wee. Because there's a lot of misunderstanding around how people with female bodies wee. So we'll talk about why that is and try and solve the problem. Right. If you have not done so already, get your male reproductive system butterfly print. And if you haven't done it, you can just tell me the words. Can you please tell me the word for the place where the sperm is made? And label it if you haven't labelled it. Where is the sperm made? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. In the testis. Wait, not writing backwards today. In the testis, which is that purple thing. That's where the sperm is made. Let's label the scrotum while we're down here. What's the point of the scrotum? Scrotum. That is protecting the testis. I mean, it's doing an important job. The testis, it needs some protection. So that's the bit of skin that protects the testis. Can you remember the word for the tube? So where the sperm travels, what's the proper name? I don't think you'd get a mark for sperm tube if you did biology GCSE. Sperm duct, yes, well done. Sperm duct. That's that bit. So the sperm comes out of the testes, travels along the sperm duct. What's the name of this blue peachy thing hiding in the background? What's the name of that? Oh, that thing that makes the nutritious fluid that helps the sperm to swim. What's its name? I'll take a letter. What letter does it begin with? It's the prostate gland. Write that in. Parost. I do this sounding out for me, not for you. You might have noticed I get a bit confused by letters. Prostate gland, that's this blue thing here. And is that it? No, we've got the urethra. Urethra! Sounds a bit like urine, right? Because that's where the urine travels, and also where the semen travels. What's the semen? It's the sperm and the fluid all mixed together. Well, you could say it's where the sperm travels. And that's it, apart from the penis. The penis is really just responsible for going into the vagina, so the sperm gets into the vagina. Right, that's it. Let's do the female one. Moving that over there, and that over there. I'm moving you down here. Hello. So, can you label and name the muscle that stops the fetus from falling out of the uterus? What's the name of the muscle? Begins with S. My youngest member of the Science Alliance in the Facebook lesson yesterday said snake. It's not the snake, it's the cervix. Cervix. But it starts with the same sound, so good on you. So that's the cervix. The ovary, what happens in the ovary? Okay. Oh, I've written it backwards again, I'm so sorry. Cervix. What happens in the ovary? That is where the eggs are stored. That's it. Oviduct, that's like the sperm, the egg tube. You could say fallopian tube, not wrong. And then the uterus is our triangle here where new person grows. Uterus. You could also say womb. You've probably heard of the word womb, but if you get into the habit of using uterus, then that's all good. Is that it? The oviduct contains not hairs, but cells that are sort of in the shape of fingers that waft the egg along. We looked at last week how the egg's probably interested in moving. It's got a lot of other stuff going on. So the oviduct kind of wafts the egg and then the sperm as well, like the growing ball of cells, into the uterus. Oh, and the vagina, of course, down here. Which leads us nicely to, how do people with female bodies wee? So, excuse me. So there's this film, right? I'll just tell you how female-bodied people wee, and then we'll do GCSE questions at the end, so you can test yourselves. Yeah, there's this film called Kindergarten Cop. People my age, adults my age, they know what I'm talking about. Arnold Schwarzenegger, big cop, for some reason, I don't know, he ends up having to teach tiny little children. So there's this great clip, I put it on my Facebook page, it's child-friendly, where he's teaching his first lesson, and a small child stands up and says, I need to go to the bathroom. And he's like, oh, okay, off you go to the bathroom. And then another small child stands up and says, boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. And it's like, it's all very funny. People of my generation thought that was hilarious. But is it correct? Is it correct? Well, no. I mean, it's not correct for many reasons to say boys have a penis, girls have a vagina. But even if he'd said the penis is part of the male reproductive system and the vagina is part of the female reproductive system, like in that context, when the little person was going for a wee, it's not really correct. We have not mentioned wee at any point, have we, whilst drawing the female reproductive system. There is no wee coming out of the vagina. There's no bladder in sight here. No. What happens is, in front of all this, we won't draw it because it's not relevant, but in front of all this is the bladder of the female body. And coming out of the bladder is the urethra. The female body has a urethra too. It's where the urine travels to come out of the female body. So right at the bottom of this bit of the female body, you have the opening to the urethra where the wee comes out, and then just behind that, you've got the opening to the vagina where, we'll do the menstrual cycle later, but it's where like the period comes out of female bodies who have periods, and it's where the baby would come out if the person gives birth. So yeah, two two different holes next to each other, and the name kind of generally for those bits is a word that to my mind does not get used often enough. The name for all that is the vulva. So the vulva is the name of, yeah, basically the kind of the opening to the urethra and the vagina all together. So people with female bodies say when they do a wee, that's the bit where the toilet paper is drying, the vulva. So really, you should be talking about penises and vulvas when it comes to doing wees. Penis and vagina, we're just talking about to reproduce, to make a new person. Okay, great to get that off my chest. Should we do some GCSE questions? I'll do my quick ad and then we'll do the GCSE questions. So, and most of you know this already, but if you are for some reason watching for the first time and you haven't gathered this, I am a secondary school science teacher, trained to teach physics actually to A-level. So I could be a private tutor, but I don't really want to be. This is so much more fun and I'm getting to know so many more of you. So how my business model works is how that I can do these lessons for free is that if you go to my Facebook homepage, children don't you do this, but grown-ups, if you go to my Facebook homepage, like my page, go on, and then click sign up, it takes you to this website called Patreon. So on Patreon, you can support me with £3 or £5 or £10 a month. And that's, you know, I mean, you can access them anyway for free, but for that, I would do like one lesson a week and also one show a week live on Facebook where you can comment and get involved. And so good is this business model. If you support me with £3 or £5 or £7 a week, I give you thank you gifts. So this is Theatre of Science magazine that everyone who supports me with £5 a month receives. I write it, graphic design, my husband graphically designs it. I'm so proud of it. It's not terribly reliable in terms of delivery, but I think the content's fantastic and you're all very patient. So on average, every 2 months, you get a magazine. This is the latest one, which was on colour. It's got quizzes. It's got a bombshell about how everything you know about primary colours is wrong. It's got a comic about Monet and how he had a superpower that he was not very happy with. It's got quizzes that my 5-year-olds had a go at and puzzles. And yeah, at the moment, as I speak, I've still got plenty of these left I can send you, a Newton's colour wheel that came with it so that you can do some colour spinning activities. Right, are you ready for your GCSEs? Let's give you a GCSE questions and see how you get on. So these are real live, get these ovaries out of the way. These are real live GCSE questions that have appeared on GCSE papers. Obviously, it doesn't matter at all if you get them wrong. You're probably not doing your GCSEs like next week. I just thought it's very interesting to start to get used to how GCSE questions work. So here we go. If you don't want to do the GCSE questions, then I've got some summary questions here, which is what I would expect you to be able to do at the end of this lesson. The GCSE questions kind of just for fun. So question 1, we've got a diagram here. The diagram shows the male reproductive system. Complete this table here to show the purpose of each part, all right? So we've got a kind of egg-shaped thing labelled C, and then a tube coming off it labelled B, and then the tube meets another kind of egg, dare I say peach sort of shaped thing labelled A, and then another tube coming off that, which is going through a long thing, and that's labelled E, right? And you've got a table here with 5 rows. And the first one, they've told you that the thing's job is to move sperm but not urine. But you need to say what the name of that thing is. What moves sperm but not urine? And then say what letter it relates to. And then the second thing, yeah, they've said that it's a tube that allows semen and urine through the penis. But you need to say the name of the thing. What tube allows semen and urine through the penis? And what letter on the diagram is it? They've given you the words prostate gland, that's kind, but what does the prostate gland do? And what letter is it on the diagram? What thing contains the testes? What's the name of it and what's the letter? And the testis, what does the testis do? And what letter is that? And question 2, you've got a diagram of the female reproductive system and a little sort of cloud-like thing on the end of a tube is labelled A. So what is the name of A? And it's saying, can you put a cross on the diagram to show where fertilisation takes place? Fertilisation, where the egg and the sperm meet. Right, and your summary questions are, can you write down 2 parts of the female reproductive system and 2 parts of the male? Just 4 words altogether. 2 that are part of a female body, 2 that are part of a male body. And then question 2 is, can you write a sentence describing what each one of those things does? That was a lot of talking. All right. A sip of coffee. Oh, I'll go on my Facebook page and see if any of you have asked questions. At this point last week, I logged on to find that everyone was saying, stop writing backwards, you don't have to write backwards, it looks ridiculous. So I'm hoping that there's no bombshells this week. There's nothing at all. Fabulous. We'll scroll down a bit. Oh, Lucy's here. Hello, Lucy. Hey, Leon and Yumi and Oscar. Hello. Oh, if you're still here, then hello. Ah, there's Mary. Fabulous. Hello. All right, Suze. And Jenny's very impressed with the writing backwards. Well, yeah, sorry about that. I'll get it right eventually. Okay. Shall we go through these answers then? So, number one, what moves sperm but not urine? So, urine, urethra, but we're not talking about the urethra then. It's the sperm duct that moves sperm and not urine. The sperm duct, yeah, the sperm canal. And the letter is, well, the sperm's made in the testis, so it must be the tube coming off the testis, which is B. So it's a bit mean, it's for 5 marks at GCSE and there's 5 rows, so you had to write sperm duct and the letter B to get 1 mark. The tube that allows semen, remember semen's the fluid and the sperm mixed together, semen and urine through the penis, that is the urethra. Urethra! And the urethra is in the middle of the penis, that's easy, it's this tube running through the penis, which is E. 1 mark for both of those. The prostate gland, it makes, you could have written loads of stuff about how it makes the nutritious fluid that which is added to the, but if you just say makes nutritious fluid, I think you'd be alright. The reason I've been calling it nutritious fluid the whole way through this lesson is because on the mark scheme, you don't get a mark for just saying it makes fluid. I guess because like you could mean that it makes wee. And that is this sort of thing in between the sperm duct and the urethra, so that's A. 1 mark for that. What contains the testes? It's the scrotum. Sounds like a weird word, but it's not. Not in this context anyway. The scrotum contains the testes. It's a bit of skin protecting the testes. So that's letter D. I think I missed off in my description, sorry. And the testis, it makes sperm. Okay? If you were talking about the ovary, you wouldn't be able to say makes sperm. It makes egg. The ovary doesn't make the egg, it stores the egg, but the testis does make the sperm. In fact, I believe if you write store sperm, it's not enough and you don't get the mark. And the letter is the testis is C. There we go. Oh, number 2. The diagram shows part of the female reproductive system. What is the name of A? It's the ovary. They haven't asked for its job, but yeah, the ovary stores the egg. Put an X on the diagram to show where fertilisation takes place. If you've put an X anywhere along the tube, along the oviduct, then give yourself a mark for that. They would just be looking for you not putting a cross in the uterus, okay? It's not that the sperm and the egg meet in the uterus and then the new person grows. And obviously don't put a cross in the ovary. Right. Okay, so I said to write down 2 parts of the female and 2 parts of the male reproductive system and say what they do. We've done all the male already, haven't we? We've really covered everything there. The female ones, I think that, shall I leave that there for you so you can see? Female ones, well, I think probably the ovary, which stores eggs, would be a good one, a good safe bet. Ovary stores eggs. Oviduct. What does the oviduct do? It wafts the egg, carries, I suppose transports the egg, or carries the egg for speed, I'll say. Carries the egg. The uterus got a very important job. I'll have to use the word fetus here. I don't want to confuse you too much with these weird words, but fetus is the name of a baby that hasn't been born yet. Where fetus grows, I'll put. So at GCSE, I don't think you get a mark for saying where the baby grows. But we'll talk about how the new person develops, I think in like 2 lessons time. And, oh yeah, you could say the cervix, like, stops fetus falling out, I suppose. It also stops bacteria and things getting into the uterus, but I'll put stops baby falling out. Doesn't sound very scientific, does it? Keeps fetus in place. Keeps fetus in place. But yes, it does. It lets the sperm through, obviously, but it doesn't let bacteria get through. Very clever. Right, is that everything? Yes, I think it is. I've told you my fallopian tube story. We've talked about why the testes are on the outside of the body. We've talked about how people with female bodies, I think we've covered everything that we possibly could cover, and we've got 2 beautiful, may I say so myself, butterfly diagrams. I'll just refresh my Facebook page one more time to make sure there's no more questions or comments. A lot of people asking about IVF and twins. We'll do that next week. I'm just holding you on this answer page so you've got time to write your answers down. But yeah, next week we'll do the sperm's journey, because it is a treacherous journey that the sperm takes to get to the oviduct. But we'll also discuss IVF and how twins are made. A lot of people are very interested in that, understandably. Oh, hello Angela. It's a bit fuzzy at the GCSE question. Oh, sorry. But it could be your phone. I don't know. It's all right here. I'll just have to edit the YouTube video if it's really bad. And yeah, I think that's the end. Hello Tom, you're probably here. Right, I'll flip you around now and just say bye. Bye Lucy, bye Mary, bye Oscar, Leon and Yumi, and bye everyone else who has watched. Thank you so much for joining me. Come back here, let me say goodbye. Bye everybody! So if you go over to my Facebook page, then you can like my page and go onto my events page and see all the things that we're doing. We're looking at elephants in the show on Saturday and Monday evening coming up. So if you want to come and do an activity to learn how elephants' trunks work, then yeah, feel free. Lego story time by elephants. So I love my job. Okay, see you soon everybody. Have a lovely rest of the day. Bye!